On the 27th of April, the whole world will meet in Rome in St. Peter's Square to canonize the most beloved popes of the 20th century. The Vatican Television Center, in partnership with Sky, presents an unprecedented event in 3D, televised on Sky and distributed to cinemas around the world by Nexo Digital. It will be like being there, thanks to the force of the 3D pictures. The canonization ceremony of Pope John XXIII and Pope John Paul II in 3D, officiated by Pope Francis Sunday the 27th of April in cinemas around the world in 3D with free admittance.
If your car was powered by thorium, you would never need to refuel it. The vehicle would burn out long before the chemical did. The thorium would last so long, in fact, it would probably outlive you. That's why a company called Laser Power Systems has created a concept for a thorium-powered car engine. The element is radioactive, and the team uses bits of it to build a laser beam that heats water, produces steam, and powers an energy-producing turbine. Thorium is one of the most dense materials on the planet. A small sample of it packs 20 million times more energy than a similarly sized sample of coal, making it an ideal energy source. The thing is, Dr. Charles Stevens, the CEO of Laser Power Systems, told Mashable that thorium engines won't be in cars anytime soon. Cars are not our primary interest, Stevens said. The automakers don't want to buy them. He said too much of the automobile industry is focused on making money off of gas engines, and it will take at least a couple decades for thorium technology to be used enough in other industries that vehicle manufacturers will begin to consider revamping the way they think about engines. We're building this to power the rest of the world, Stevens said. He believes a thorium turbine about the size of an air conditioning unit could more provide cheap power for whole restaurants, hotels, office buildings, even small towns in areas of the world without electricity. At some point, thorium could power individual homes. Stevens understands that people may be wary of thorium, because it is radioactive, but any such worry would be unfounded. The radiation that we develop off of one of these things can be shielded by a single sheet off of aluminum foil, Stevens said. You will get more radiation from one of those dental 10 rays than this.
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is April 26, 2014. Here are your news updates for today. Let's first go into E&E News, Energy News, Japan, Fukushima. Let's go into that first. Today, Energy Journal, Fukushima ongoing crisis and international issue. It's important we all keep our eye on it. We owe it to the Pacific. Nuclear fuel dropped into sub-basement and melted through some concrete. No one can get in to see where it is now. Also today, official in Fukushima during 3/11 now suffering many health problems as consequence of nuclear catastrophe. There's no place I could go for help. Hospital refused to treat me. I asked for blood tests since I'm exposed, but they deny it. Also today, Journal, Fukushima has ongoing meltdown. Is this not the worst possible outcome? Nuclear fuel mixing with groundwater and leaking into sea. Disaster never seen in human history and imagined only in movies. Tokyo paper. A situation in which massive accidents occur daily. Alrighty then. Also, day before yesterday, NBC News. Biblical devastation from Fukushima disaster, says former official. TV. When I was mayor, I knew many people who died from heart attacks. Many people in Fukushima died suddenly, even young people. TEPCO employees also are dying, but everyone is keeping mum about it. Alright. Moving on. E&E News, Energy News, U.S. Canada. Today, PBS, Miles O'Brien. No one likes to see ocean filled with cesium and strontium and so forth. It's arriving on west coast of U.S. as we speak. Nobody likes the idea of eating cesium from Fukushima. Tainted water dumped into Pacific as we speak. Also today, strange event in government whip report. Emergency personnel needed for reddish-brown vapors observed after unplanned excessive exothermic reaction. Filters had an orange tint when changed hours after radiation release began. Okay, yesterday. Photo. Broken roof bolts directly above WIP nuclear waste were reported the day before radiation event. Crack seen in nearby wall. Heaving a bottom. May have taken place below broken bolts. Also, on the 24th of April. Government report. Green burst seen at WIP utility yard just minutes before radiation event began. Popping noise heard by facility manager investigating incident. Also, the 24th, Wall Street Journal. Report reveals WIP containment system leaked radiation. Unfiltered plutonium released into environment for 20 days after accident. Unfiltered plutonium released into environment for 20 days after accident. Something like this wasn't supposed to happen for 10,000 years. Now hold on. So 10,000 years from now, all of a sudden someone else would have this problem? Something like this wasn't supposed to happen for 10,000 years. No, it's never supposed to happen. It was never supposed to happen. Our future generations it was supposed to happen to them? Some kind of booby trap for 10,000 years from now? Whoever's around in that civilization, they would have to deal with it? No, it's never supposed to happen. That's what I say. It's not okay if it's 5 years, 10,000 years, or 10 million years from now. No. You gotta be responsible for this stuff. And take care of it. And not just leave it for other people to clean up your mess. Alrighty then. So it's not clean energy. Whatever it is. You gotta stop. If it lasts this long, why are we building more facilities to make this stuff? If it doesn't go away and it's hot for tens of thousands of years, why are we building more equipment? Why aren't we recycling the old stuff until it burns out? That's my question. Alrighty then. Stay tuned. I am running some videos I'm attaching, and the 3D ceremony with the Pope, with the two popes, and the two popes that passed away, that will be starting at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's what I gathered so far. So it's at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Alrighty then. So everyone else can do the math and know your appropriate times. Alrighty then, take care. Be prepared for anything. Just be prepared for anything. I saw some channels, what they're doing, they're praying for the aliens, the Elohim, to show up during this. So I don't know what's going to happen. So take care. Just be prepared for anything. Alrighty then. Be safe wherever you are. Just be aware of your surroundings and be safe. Alrighty then. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Stay tuned. Alrighty then.
I mean, I had to do. I had to listen, folks. I just got a phone call from the grandson of Dr. Lester Sumrall, and of course, his grandson's name is Lester Sumrall. Well, and he's a good friend of mine, and he's preached several times revivals for us at our church here in Indiana, and of course, I was ordained by his grandfather back in the 90s. Well, here's the situation. He got a phone call. He received a phone call from a rabbi out of Jerusalem today, and said to Lester, he said, "Lester, have you ever heard of Rabbi Volna Gaon?" Let me see if I can say it right again. Rabbi Volna Gaon. And Lester, of course, said, "No, I've never heard of the guy." He said, "Well, it's important. He's a very prominent rabbi who lived in the 1700s, who received many prophecies from the Lord. And actually, today is this rabbi's birthday. So Volna Gaon, today is his birthday. He was born on April 23rd, 1720, and he died October 9th, 1797. He lived to be, yes, you got it right, 77. Don't go there. But anyway, he had a prophecy that is unbelievable. And so this rabbi that called Lester Sumrall today from Jerusalem said, "You need to know what it is." And folks, let me share what it is. Here it is. And hang on. And oh, by the way, tomorrow Lester Sumrall accepted my invitation. He will be my guest on my live show. And I just can't wait. You need to hear him fully explain what the Lord's been revealing to him as it relates to the end times of the body of Christ and the nation of Israel, the simultaneous revelation knowledge that he's getting. Now, he's been to Israel many times, and of course his grandfather was there probably 30 sometimes, and his grandfather preached all over the world. I think his grandfather preached in 130 some nations around the world. Well, here's the prophecy, okay? The Rabbi Volna Gaon, this is a prophecy that he gave. When you hear that the Russians have invaded Crimea, you will know that the bells of redemption have begun to ring. And when you hear that the Russians have reached Constantinople, or now known as Istanbul, Turkey, as it is, you will already don Sabbath clothes and await the appearance of Moshiach, or Messiah. What? Can I just read it? Just settle down. It is quite remarkable that a man in the 1700s would give a prophecy like this. But think about this. Think about this. When you hear that the Russians have invaded Crimea, you will know that the bells of redemption have begun to ring. And when you hear that the Russians have reached Constantinople, or Istanbul, Turkey, you can already don the Sabbath clothes and await the appearance of Messiah. Are you serious? Now, everybody, let me show you a picture. Here's a picture of Rabbi Volna Gaon. There it is. There's a picture of him from a portrait. And that is Rabbi Volna Gaon and his Messiah prophecy. Unbelievable. Are you serious? And Lester started to tell me more about a spiritual revelation that he received on Resurrection Sunday. He actually, this past Sunday, and It's a spiritual revelation for the body of Christ, simultaneously for the nation of Israel. So, you know what? I'm not going to tell you anymore, but you're looking at right there is Pope Francis I. Folks, this coming Sunday, the Vatican is going to do the first ever 3D HD TV transmission of a broadcast of an unprecedented canonization of two popes, making they're going to broadcast this worldwide on 3D. It's going to be the first time a pope has ever been seen globally on a 3D transmission or broadcast. It will take place Sunday, April the 27th, 2014. The ceremony will be held in St. Peter's Square when two former popes will be canonized as saints. They are Pope John Paul II and John the 23rd. Now, this ceremony, this situation is very, 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 look, they're going to, you know what, I'm stunned actually. It's like, what is this about? Why all this breaking Vatican tradition, constantly changing the situation, but there is this promotion of this Pope. There's no question. Pope Francis I, he's already Time Magazine Man of the Year. He's been on the cover of Rolling Stones. He's been on the cover of GQ. I mean, he's been on the cover of everything. And what is the deal with this situation? He's literally the darling of the United States media, and he's getting ready to, every world leader has just about crossed his door. I mean, we're talking Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli President Sharon Peres. We know Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. We know Jordan's King Abdullah II. We know that also he's been visited by Queen Elizabeth, and that's only the third time in 60 years that the Queen of England has ever went to the Vatican. Also, he's been visited by the President of the United States and has been exalted by everyone that's came there. And now he's getting ready to come to Jerusalem in the end of May. He's going to be also going to Ramallah, to Bethlehem, to hold a mass. He's washed Muslims' feet during Passover, during Good Friday, foot washing. I mean, there's just, he has made statements like even atheists are going to heaven around the blood of Christ. Even the Vatican has had to recount several of his statements. He seems to be leaning toward an inclusive gospel of recognizing or in some way almost blessing same-sex marriage. He hasn't officially said that, but he hints in that direction. Cast this in HD 3D in Italy, plus all across Europe and North and South America. This is a huge event. What is it signifying? What is this proclamation? And get this, Pope Benedict XVI will be in attendance. So you're going to have two living popes, two dead popes, all in the same mass. Now let me say this. I've had several people send me emails saying, Pastor Begley, is he going to try to raise these two popes from the dead? And I've even had some people ask me, Pastor, could it be that these two popes, Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II, could they be the two witnesses prophesied in the book of Revelation for the end times? Well, I can answer that question for you profoundly. No. 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 Serious. Folks, I've said this many, many times. Those of you who have been watching me over the last 4 years on YouTube or my live shows have heard me preach over the 30 years of ministry. I've said this. Whatever's going on in the spiritual world, many times manifests in the physical. Now, this Sunday coming up, the Vatican is getting ready to have a spectacle of a mass at St. Peter's Square, where they're actually going to canonize and make and declare that Pope John Paul II and Pope John the 23rd are saints. They're going to, and Pope Francis is going to perform this ceremony, this mass and ceremony, live on television around the world, and not just any type of a broadcast, but an actual 3D HD, and not just in televisions, but in movie theaters across Italy, across America, across South America, and around the globe. The first ever 3D broadcast by the Vatican of a mass. There will be hundreds of thousands of people there. Even the former Pope Benedict will show up in attendance. An unbelievable spectacle. And I've been just saying, I don't understand it. Exactly what the issue is. Let's see what I should say. I understand what they're doing as far as trying to, the ceremony. What I don't understand is why the 3D, why the Hollywood type presentation. But having said that, it is scheduled to go on. Now, folks, yesterday, unbelievable, what you're looking at is the crucifix of Jesus Christ that has fallen from the large statue. It was actually a curved cross that had Jesus on the cross, a huge crucifix in northern Italy, and it was put there in honor of Pope John Paul II, who's going to be canonized in this service on Sunday, 3 days before his the fact he's going to be declared a saint. 3 days before the ceremony, this 100-foot high crucifix that had been erected to commemorate the visit of John Paul II to the region back in 1998, actually fell. It collapsed. It fell. This thing weighed 1,320 pounds. Sculpture of Christ on the cross fell from 100-foot high and hit a man, killing a man. 21-year-old Marco Gethsemane. It killed him. He was there visiting the area and was actually there viewing the cross when the crucifix collapsed and crushed him and killed him. Now, this is a horrific situation. I mean, this is absolutely horrific. And actually, there was no bad weather. You're looking at the pictures. It was a sunny day. There was no bad weather. There was no high winds. And this, so something, literally, folks, I'm telling you, this just can't happen. This is not by accident. There's something about this event. And I just want to say, it's unexplained tragedy. It's shocking. Even the town in Italy of Cevo, the mayor, called the accident unexplainable, noting that the maintenance work had been carried out on the cross last summer. This is a place for a pilgrimage where families come to visit. We never imagined anything like this happening ever, and certainly not on just before the canonization of Pope John Paul II. Folks, there's something going on. You know, in my book, Jerusalem Jihad, I wrote that I wrote it based on an end-time apocalyptic scenario. And I wrote that even Pope Benedict would resign. And I wasn't the only one to write a book predicting the and actually, when I wrote this book, it was not. It's based on Bible prophecy and current world events, historical accounts, and an end time apocalyptic scenario. And I felt as I was writing to go ahead and not have Pope Benedict die in the story, but have him resign. Now, he did, and that's what he did. He resigned, which shocked me, because it literally shocked me, because it was not a prophecy. I was not giving a prophecy from the Lord, although I truly was led by the Holy Spirit to write the book. Now, Tom Horn also wrote a book, and he did the same thing.